Yoda, but I can try. Always in motion, the future is. Actually, the quote is, always in motion is the future. But I think it should have been that, right? Because he's always putting the verb at the end, right? So I changed it to that. Anyway, it's hard to see, but I think the first thing is Eta Carina is a prototype of mergers, of massive star mergers, and the physics that we learned in Eta Carina. So I used to say, somebody said this, is Eta Carina Rosetta Stone or is it a red herring? Oh, it's a Rosetta herring. Now I think it's a Rosetta Stone. Or Rosetta herring, yeah. Now I think it's a Rosetta Stone. I think it is the key to understanding what stellar mergers are like. So I've been dragged in by my son into the modern era. I now have a YouTube channel that I'm trying to build up. And there it is, my talk on mergers even at Perth University. Here's one on how black holes rip stars apart, about tidal disruption events. That's a public talk. I actually have them. Well, anyway, and there's some, here's more about merger stars for public. And there's a couple of poem talks, and there's this talk about universes form. Anyway, look at my webpage. So this is the other thing that I've gotten really interested while I was in Melbourne, visiting Rio and the group there, Ilya's group. Ilya was kind enough to help pay for my visit there. And we had a wonderful time. We were talking all the time about science, find out that we really have very similar approaches to how to do science. And I think tidal disruption events for about a year, they look like a ginormous O star. 10 of the 10 suns, but they got a black hole of 10 of the 6 solar masses in them with outflows of 10,000 kilometers a second. But nobody has really seriously put in radiation forces into tidal disruption events so far. So I'm trying to say, I can do that. Maybe it help you. Invite me back. Okay, so that's kind of the science part. Let me just another minute or two to kind of talk about a little bit of the cultural experience of being a scientist with the collaborators all around the world. So this is a talk. The title of the talk is Sailing on Starlight. The talk I gave at the public session at the end of the 2005 meeting in Sapporo, Japan, that Atsuo hosted. And it was really a very interesting way to give a talk. I would say one line, and then Atsuo would translate it. And so I actually had time to think about what I wanted to say in the next line, you know. But anyway, at the end, there was about, no, I would say, Atsuo, what do you say, about 100 people there? I think it was like about 100 people, public. And at the end, I talked about radiation forces and radiation pressure. And this one woman from the back raises her hand and she says, I'd like to know, she said, in Japan, we have this phrase, and Atsuo translated this for me. Remind me that it's picaton. It means the flash, right? Something like the flash. And she's talking about the flash from the atomic bomb. And so here you are giving a public lecture about abstract things like radiation forces and radiation pressure. And this woman's asking you about a bomb that your country dropped on her country. And I think she even was from Hiroshima or near, had relatives. And I didn't know what to say other than I had visited Hiroshima with Susie and I think Kevin was there too, if I recall. And we were amazed at the Peace Museum that's there. And they didn't whitewash the role that the Japanese had leading to World War II, but they had these, you know, child's bicycle melted and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm trying to answer and say, I'm so sorry for what we did, but maybe what the people of Japan sacrificed taught us about how we had to deal with each other more with greater passion, greater compassion. And I'm talking and giving this thing, and there are tears in the audience. And that's an experience I will never forget, because it's telling you that the science we do is not just abstract stuff, it connects with people. And we have to always remember that. Okay, so Akimi had this wonderful event at the Japanese Culture Experience where there's Akimi right there. Whoops. Oops, sorry about that. There's a Kimi right there. The picture's a little resolution. Sorry about that. But there's Hub's wife. There's my daughter Sarah. There's Susie. I think a couple other people in there. Oh, there's Angelica. Okay. And there's another nicer picture. They all wore these $10,000 kimonos or something. They were really fancy kimonos. And Susie can tell you about the experience of putting those on. Okay, so now it's time for a little advertisement plug, right? You know, this is my book that I've written. It's basically based on a course that I taught called Fundamentals of Astrophysics for many years. And now there's a second edition coming out, due out maybe this winter sometime. I have the preface describes what the differences are. Anybody wants me to send that to them. But I'm very proud of this book, you know, because it's fundamentals of astrophysics. It's kind of the way I like to think. And the challenge is that you teach introductory astronomy to non-science majors. It's like every time you show them an equation, they just freak out. But people take this class, at least they've had some basic calculus and stuff like that, so you can use that. But I don't use anything beyond freshman physics in this course. And it's designed to be able to be taught in one semester. Whereas Carol and Osley is like this Bible, right? I mean, it's just, you know. And so there's this idea John has of maybe. Now I want to say, I don't know how we're going to handle the authorship here or whatever, you know, walking. All right. Who's that? Is that me? No. Oh, Chat GTP. Well, yeah, but that was, but wait a second, was the, did it misspell Owaki? It did, oh my goodness. Well, then we have to be careful about Chat GTP. All right, so as you all see, there are these books that I've written. The story goes that I was my first, Kevin's daughter, when she was born, his wife asked me, she had heard a radio interview by this guy, Gammy, who wrote books, General Relativity for Babies and stuff. And she said, can't you write something for Eva? And I said, well, you know, and I was stuck on my research that day. And I went back to my office, and it was like somebody dictated me this poem, this one on big stars. And of course, what I can't believe Polly, and on Wednesday, what a wonderful experience that was, having Polly read me the book. Because 2 years ago in Ireland, I read it to her during the banquet. But there are these other one. I wrote this one for my granddaughter, my other granddaughter, my daughter's daughter. And it's about a little girl who asked her grandpa, what's the biggest thing there is? And I said, well, can't explain it to you, but I can show you with these magic jelly beans. Each one will make you 10 times bigger. After 26 jelly beans, she's as big as the observable universe. And then for my courses, I wrote a book on our Earth, Oasis in Space, and Star of Our Life. And there's the final back page of I think you saw this yesterday, and here's the one. And of course, this is the author of Baby Slimmer after getting her first astronomy lecture. Of course, she's snoozing away. There she is reading the book, and me sitting there reading it to her. Thank you, Polly. Thank you. Thank you all. You know, what can I say? I am so humbled by your friendship and your tolerance of my idiosyncrasies. I know I'm not a perfect person. I know that I can sometimes be a little bit hard to take, but it's not, I think, a very kind word from Philip. He says, yeah, but you're not malicious. And that's the point. And there's a famous phrase, don't ascribe to malfeasance what can be explained by mere incompetence, right? And when it comes to communication, I feel sometimes I can be pretty incompetent. Now, the other thing I've learned, I was raised Catholic, and I don't practice religion, and some of the things about religion give you some pretty good insights into human nature. I also think it can be used as a cudgel to be wicked and prejudicial. But that's another story for another day. But there's a phrase in the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And I have apparently trespassed. And there are people who haven't been as forgiving and loving as you guys. And all I can say to you is my door is open for those people. come and talk to me. Let's try to figure out a way forward. Because we have too short a time in this world. We have too much to share with each other. Science is not sitting in a library reading books and papers. It's exchanging of ideas with people who have the kind of passion that you have, who have complementary skills. And it's a waste to just find something that might piss you off about somebody. I mean, you have to at some point judge certain people that you don't want to have anything to do with but like I said, as many faults as I have, I don't believe I am malicious. I hope that's enough. Okay, so I want to finally end with this, my wife, because she's tolerated that kind of stuff for years. Here's various pictures of us when I was a postdoc at Harvard. Dr. and Mrs. Owaki, Mrs. Stanley, an astrophysicist at the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics in Cambridge, reside in Boston. We lived in Dorchester. There we are in Venice. Here we are at my son Kevin's wedding in Keystone. And this is in Egypt last year. And it's been wonderful being married to her. She forgives my sins. Thank you very much.